to Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Weldin. Today's story is called No Place Like Home, an adaptation of a Greek myth written for you by Daniel Hinds. Thanks! Enjoy the episode! No Place Like Home. Once upon a time, in ancient Greece, there lived a water nymph named Chelone. She was small and sprightly, with big yellow eyes and long green hair. The water nymphs of Greece looked like young women, but they were closer to fairies than humans. They lived for hundreds and hundreds of years and always looked youthful and glittering, no matter what their age. Most of the nymphs were friendly and outgoing, always distracting travelers and peppering them with questions about the wider world. Chelone, however, wasn't like most nymphs. She was shy and an introvert, which means she preferred quiet time alone by herself. She spent her days all cozy in her little house, which was a little cave half sunk in a little pond. Chelone would swim and relax. She would float and read books she found until they were sopping wet and falling apart. She would carve little animals out of driftwood and leave them out as gifts for passing hikers. It was a quiet, peaceful life, and it was exactly what Chelone wanted. Of course, this being ancient Greece, the gods had other ideas. One day, as Chelone was swimming around her little pond, she heard a beautiful music drifting through the trees, sweet as baking bread on the breeze. "Oh, but that's beautiful," she said to herself. "I wonder who could be playing such lovely music." The tune continued, growing louder and closer until a golden figure strolled out from the woods. He was tall and tan, with hair the color of summer sun. In his arms was a golden lyre, which was like a U-shaped harp with 11 strings. With a start, Chelone realized that this must be Apollo, the god of music and the sun. "Hello, little nymph," he said when he saw her staring. Chelone blushed and sunk into her pond up to her cheekbones. "Well, don't be shy. I'm always happy to play some music for a spirit of the forest." Chelone bobbed up a little. "I'm sorry to stare. You play very beautifully, and I don't hear much music out here in the woods." "No worries at all," Apollo said. "If you're missing music, I'm having a party tonight nearby. There will be musicians and poets and songs and stories. I even have a fountain large enough for a water nymph to swim in. Would you like to come?" Chelone's thoughts raced around her head like a white water current. Apollo's music was so beautiful, and it was an honor to be invited to a party where surely there would be gathered some of the world's greatest performers. But when she thought about leaving her little house in the pond, a wave of anxiety swept through her. To go somewhere strange, leaving all the comforts of home behind? As much as she wanted to say yes, she found that the idea simply made her too nervous. "Oh, I'm sorry," she said. "I'm honored, but I don't think I can bear to leave my little pond. It was wonderful to hear you play, though." "Oh, okay then," said Apollo, obviously surprised. Clearly, no one had ever turned down his invitation before. "Well, perhaps I'll pass through this way again someday. Until then, enjoy your pond, little nymph." He continued to strum his lyre and continued on through the forest. "Enjoy your party," Chelone called after him, and then she sank back into the water. She felt bad for turning down Apollo, and a part of her regretted it, but mostly she just felt relief. No one was going to make her leave her little cave in the little pond, and she could once more relax. Unbeknownst to her, word spread that she had turned down Apollo's party. The other gods laughed, amused that a water nymph had refused an invitation from the mighty Apollo. "Oh, maybe you weren't playing as sweet as you thought you were," chuckled Zeus. Yeah, brother. Are you sure your lyre was in tune? Said Poseidon. My lyre is always in tune, snapped Apollo. Some people just prefer to stay home no matter what the invitation. It's not my fault she likes her little pond. You just don't understand us creatures of the water, said Poseidon, who was the god of the seas. She just didn't want to come to see a bunch of stuffy musicians and poets prattle on. Well, then you make her a better offer. Oh, I think I will. The next day, Chelone was playing tag with some frogs when a great whirling wave started to form in the center of her pond. Whoa, what's going on? She said, edging away as the water churned and rose up and up. Before she could think to hide, the water had taken on the shape of a man, tall and proud, with a trident in one mighty fist. Well, hello, little one, boomed Poseidon, a living statue of water and bubbles and foam. Do you know who I am? Chelone felt her heart race. She knew that this could only be Poseidon, and the trident confirmed it. She said his name in a stammer. That's right, he said. And what's your name? I'm Chelone, she said. Her thoughts were racing. She barely ever even saw humans, and now 2 gods in 2 days? What in the world was going on? Well, Chelone, I'd like to invite you to come check out the sea with me. I know you water nymphs love your ponds and your streams, but I'll show you some awesome shipwrecks and introduce you to a few dolphins I know. Hilarious ladies, let me tell you. How does that sound? Chelone thought it sounded wonderful, but at the same time, her heart began to race. The deep sea? That sounded nice, but it was so far away from her little home. Just the thought of it made her nervous. Of course, she knew another part of her would regret not taking this chance. Anyone else would do anything for the chance to explore the seas with Poseidon, but Chelone just couldn't bear to leave her little cave and her little pond. At the end of the day, she just wanted to be home, even if that meant missing out. I'm sorry, she said finally. I really just want to stay here in my pond. Wait, what? Spluttered Poseidon, completely taken aback. You don't want to come with me? But did I mention the dolphins and the shipwrecks and the sunken treasure? Well, that all sounds lovely, but I'd really prefer to just be at home. Please tell the dolphins I say hello, though. They're always welcome to visit. Well, all right then, Poseidon said and heaved a heavy sigh. I'll tell them you said hello. He waved, and then the column of water splashed back into the pond, sending some surprised frogs surfing to the grass. Well, that was a nice visit, Chelone said. She looked a little sadly at the ripples in the water where the god had just been standing. It would have been nice to see the depths of the ocean. Instead, she went back into her little cave and painted on her walls. Back on Mount Olympus, the home of the gods, Zeus was laughing at Poseidon and Apollo. Ho! You two are so boring, even a water nymph doesn't want to hang out with you. No, man, she just likes being home. What can I say? Said Poseidon. Yeah, some people just don't want to go outside their comfort zones. Oh, well, said Zeus. We'll certainly see about that. The next day, Chelone was gathering some floating flowers to make a wreath for her cave when she heard the fluttering buzz of busy wings. Another visitor? What in the world is happening? She set the flowers aside and watched as Hermes, the messenger god, flew down on his winged sandals. He moved fast and spoke fast, his smiling face excited about his message. Are you the water nymph Chelone? He asked. Yes, I am. What's going on? Well, you have been cordially invited to the birthday celebration of Zeus, the father of the gods. You are expected to report immediately to Mount Olympus for the celebration, where there will be drinks and dinner and cake and music and all sorts of things, but you have to come now, okay? Chelone blinked at the floating god, his sandal wings still buzzing. It was truly an honor to be invited to the birthday party of Zeus, but to go all the way to Mount Olympus? She'd have to leave her little cave and her little pond for who knows how long. Still, she was tempted. It would surely be a party for the ages. But in the end, she just couldn't bear to leave her home behind. I'm sorry, but I can't go. What do you mean you can't go? You were invited, you have to go. No, let's go now. Get your stuff, I'll fly you up. Come on now. Well, but I don't want to leave my house, Chelone said. I just like being home, and it makes me nervous to go out. Hermes looked at her, shrugged, and then buzzed back up to Mount Olympus to report to Zeus.
What?
Boomed the thunder god, storm clouds gathering over his mighty head.
She said no to my party? Who does she think she is?
She just wants to be home, Hermes squeaked.
Dude, I told you so, said Poseidon, and Apollo just laughed. Well, if she wants to be home so badly, I can make that happen.
Zeus rolled up his sleeves and began to crackle with power. Lightning danced down his arms and pooled in his hands. The other gods stepped back, knowing he was about to do something mighty and magical and, most probably, terrible.
Now, Chelone, he bellowed, you will always be home.
The lightning leapt from his hands and streaked through the sky and struck Chelone where she lay resting in her little cave in her little pond. In an instant, she was transformed from a young woman into something else. She was small and round and had a giant shell all around her. Zeus had transformed her into the very first turtle ever seen on Earth. A second later, he used his magic to teleport her to Mount Olympus. Chelone suddenly found herself attending Zeus's birthday party, despite her efforts. What happened? She said. Why am I here?
Well, you didn't accept my invitation, said Zeus with a scowl. You wanted to stay home, so as a punishment, you must now carry your home with you wherever you go.
Chelone wondered what he meant, then discovered that her shell was basically like her little cave, but right on her back. She pulled in her arms and legs and tucked in her head, and just like that, she felt safe and cozy. Oh, thank you, she squealed. I love it! I can be home anywhere now.
Oh, it was supposed to be a punishment,
Zeus grumbled while Apollo and Poseidon laughed. No, it's perfect, Chelone continued. Maybe I can go to that party now, Apollo. And Poseidon, can you still take me to the sea? Now that my home is always with me, I can go wherever I want. At this point, even Zeus had to smile. Chelone enjoyed the party, and she traveled through the woods with Apollo and into the seas with Poseidon, and these days you can find turtles all over the world. And they all carry their homes on their backs, ready to be safe and cozy whenever they want. The end. Thanks for listening.